So we're up to the third entry, and he talks about someone who has bitachon in Hashem, trust in Hashem, and he's not afraid whatsoever. Doesn't let the anxiety get to him. It is impossible for him to get harmed. He cannot be harmed. So therefore, we said last time how the Gemara says in Brachot that the Yehuda Bar Natan was following Rav Hamnuna. Yehuda Bar Natan sighed. He said, "Oh," and then that made him show that he has signs of anxiety. Therefore, Rav Hamnuna said, "Why do you want to bring upon yourself suffering? By sighing, it's a sign that you're anxious. Anxiety brings negative outcomes." So therefore, he said, "Don't do that." So you see from here that a person has to make sure not to be afraid, and that'll protect him from any bad outcomes. The Pasuk says, when you go out to battle against your enemy and you see a horse and a chariot and people more numerous than you should do what? You shall not fear them, the Torah says. From here we see there's a mitzvah. And so much so, the Rambam counts it in the Sefer HaMitzvot, Mitzvah 58, in the negative commandment, and also he writes over there, someone was afraid during a battle. Can you imagine? During a war, you're even commanded not to be afraid. Why? Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu, as the Bukharian Babo tells the Sephardic Babo, tells the grandchildren, Devori, Hashem is with you. So therefore, it's a mitzvah, he says, and it's a negative transgression if you go to war and you forget that Hashem is with you. It's a negative transgression, says the Torah, says the Rambam. So therefore, a person has to learn from here that you have to have bitachon, you cannot be afraid. And the Gemara tells us that a person was scared. You would see he's scared before he goes to the war. We tell him, don't participate in the combat. Why? Because it's a sign you're going to die. If you're afraid right now, you're not going to have the merit of the bitachon to protect you. You're as good as dead right now. So therefore, don't even go. Better you shouldn't go. Why should you waste your time and get killed? As the pasuk says, Torah says, who's the man who's fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go back to return to his house. Because he's fearful, he's liable to be captured because of this fear. So you see that it's all about if you have the merit of bitachon or not. You should know the wars of the Jewish people were fought with what? With their bitachon, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu doing the fighting for them. So the question is not about were you a skilled fighter. Then obviously you have to be skilled. But really the pusher, the kicker was what? That you had bitachon and you weren't scared. Because if you were scared, that was a sign that you're going to be chas v'shalom failing. As the pasuk says, as the might of the Jewish people is in quiet and in reliance on Hashem. And the Ketiv, and it says, Hashem li lo yira, ma yaseh li adam. They say in the Hallel, God is with me, I have no fear. What can man do to me? So therefore, that's what a person has to have in mind. And since I have no fear, a man cannot do anything to me. So therefore, you see how important it is. Moshe Feinstein asks, how is it possible for Jewish people to put their lives on the line in the battles? He answers that since usually we say, you're not allowed to put yourself at risk, you have to take care of your health. So how's a Jew allowed to go to war? So since they have bitachon in Hashem, there's very small risks. They're not going to die because they have bitachon in Hashem. No harm could come to them. That's how powerful this merit of having Emunah in Hashem it does for a person. So therefore, how much more so every day we go to battle, we go to war, we go to bring parnasah for our families, we go and do good in the world, we fight the evil in the world. We don't want to get damaged. You have to make sure not to be fearful. When you're fearful, then the Yetzer Hara smells it, and therefore it could lead to bringing you down. Now, the Beit Halevi says also a powerful statement. Overall comes out, fear could be your downfall. And that's why the Pasuk says, Pahad, Pahadati, V'yetani. We said before that when you have fear, that itself is a trap. The story about Rav Yehuda Adis was lived in the past 100 years in Eretz Yisrael. There was a war in Israel, and there was bombs. And one of the bombs hit a gas line in a crowded Yerushalayim neighborhood. It caused a huge fire. The fire was going to go burn down the neighborhood. And then a second bomb fell, and it struck what? It struck a water pipe. And the water pipe was bursting everywhere and extinguished the fire, and the neighborhood was saved. So Rav Adis said, obviously Hashem didn't want the neighborhood to burn down, and therefore that's why the second bomb fell on a water line. However, one might think, so then why did God make the bomb fall on the gas line? Why should there be a fire to begin with? So he says that Hashem wanted to go and to make fear in everybody, that they should pray and they should trust in Him. And the merit that they should trust in Him, that will make it that the whole thing will be saved. If there was no merit of trust, So the fire, there's dinim, the fire was supposed to destroy the neighborhood. Hashem wanted to give them a chance to have faith, and then for this, they have faith and trust. That's exactly what brought the salvation. So you see that a person has to know that you pass this test of not having fear, that itself is the merit that will give you all the bracha v'atzlacha. Person says, no, I'd rather not get these tests. I'd rather just everything be easy and just everything comes my way. No. Who says we have the merit to live such a life? You have to look for these situations where you're going to have a test in emunah and test in not having fear and pass them, and you should know this is the merit you'll take to the bank, and you should be able to be successful in all your endeavors.